Welcome back to my channel, my dear aspirants. We are going to study July to December 2025 Environment Current Affairs. It is now again short and crispy. In this, we are going to learn climate change and international convention, UNFCCC and COPs. So, Paris Agreement naturally determined contribution, NDCS, carbon market, and global stock take. So, when you are preparing for environment current affairs, you have to take care of key points, key ideas of UNFCCC and COPS, Biodiversity Convention, like Convention on Biological Diversity, and the Kunming's Montreal Global Biodiversity Frameworks, CITES, CMS, and the Minamata, Basel, Rotterdam Convention. So these I will explain in next videos. Just continue with the July and December current affairs based on environment, ecology, biodiversity. So my dear aspirants, always keep consistent. Take the revision of all the key updates. Best of luck before starting the video. July 2025 Major Environment and Ecology highlights focus heavily on India. Key updates include the notification of strict new rules for managing chemically contaminated sites and the historic first grassland bird census at Kaziranga National Park. So, biodiversity conservation and biodiversity, the first grassland bird census Kaziranga National Park conducted its first ever grassland bird is focusing heavily on vulnerable flagship species like Finns beaver to gauge ecosystem health. So July is totally based on the conservation and biodiversity. In this, the first grassland bird census is about Kaziranga National Park. It conducted its first ever grassland bird census focusing heavily on vulnerable flagship species like Finns beaver to gauge ecosystem to take care of ecosystem health. Next, about the Sundarbans expansion, preparation were underway for the Sundarbans to officially become India's second largest tiger reserve. Third one is the Debrigarh tiger introduction. Debrigarh Wildlife Sanctuary began significant preparation for the reintroduction of tigers. So, first grassland bird census Kaziranga National Park. Second one is the Sundarban expansion. It becomes officially India's second largest tiger reserve. Key point. Debrigarh tiger introduction. Debrigarh Wildlife Sanctuary began significantly preparation for the reintroduction of tigers. So, new species also discovered in July. For news, flora and fauna, I will make separate video, the new flora and fauna discovered. New species continue to emerge in India, including the Piratula acuminata, a new spider discovered in the Sundarban. So, Sundarban, a new species discovered, a new spider. Scientific name is Piratula acuminata. New bus frogs in Meghalaya and the new wasp species in West Bengal. Policy and environmental governance in July 2025. Contaminated site rules, the Union Environmental Ministry notified strict new environmental protection rules to address to chemically contaminated sites across the countries. So the rules operate under Environmental Protection Act of 1986. Geofence topics, it is a very geofence toxic sites and utilize the pollutant pays principle. So these rules operate under Environmental Protection Act of 1996. Now next about the climate and renewable energy progress. Renewable energy milestone, India has achieved a major milestone by generating 242.78 gigawatt of its total 484.82482 gigawatt. 4 to 8, then again 4, like this you remember, 0.82 gigawatt energy capacity from non-fossil sources. So India achieved a major milestone by generating total 484.82 gigawatts energy capacity from non-fossil sources. So it helped the nation to successfully achieve its 50% renewable energy target 5 years early. Now about the global climate impact in the month of July 2025, critical discussions surrounded the International Court of Justice ruling on climate change and the need to empower urban India for climate resilience. About the August 2025 keys update about environmental ecology biodiversity, it centered on controversial forest clearance, studies on renewable energies impact on local wildlife and global shifts in forest ecology. So major environmental updates has Dio Aranya forest clearance. August, the name is the in August 2025 has Dio Aranya forest clearance, the Chhattisgarh. This is the Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh state government approved forest clearance for a mining project in the ecologically sensitive Hasdio Aranya region. The decision sparked protest from environmentalists and local residents due to potential felling of over 4.5 lakh trees amid claims that public objection were bypassed. So, Hasidio Aranya forest clearance in Chhattisgarh. Next update is wine farms and bird mortality death. The study conducted in the Thar Desert revealed that wind turbines pose a severe threat to migratory birds, particularly because the region falls along the Central Asian. This region fall around the Central Asian flyway, and these are the cause of bird death because of wind turbines causes death to migratory birds. The study recorded high bird collision rates, 1.24 deaths per turbine per month, highlights the need for better site planning and mandated environmental impact assessment for onshore wide wind projects. Next update is global shift to younger forest. Research published in Nature, Ecology and Evolution highlighted a global transition toward young forest, largely due to logging, fires, and deforestation. So this shift is resulting in net carbon loss globally, as this younger regrowths lack the carbon storing capacity of mature complex forest. Now, key about September, our key updates, revised green credit rules, revised green credit rules, stringent target, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, MUFCC, revised the green credit program to ensure better survival rates for plants, saplings. Maintenance clause, the previously simply planting a sapling was enough. Now the modified rules require a minimum plant maintenance of 5 years. So minimum plants should be maintained for 5 years. The tree survivals and canopy density will be independently verified before one green credit is awarded per tree surviving past the 5-year mark. So verification is given to the tree survival and canopy density will be independently verified before one green credit is awarded to per tree surviving past the 5-year mark. Now about the update about the planetary boundaries update. The Planetary Health Check PHC, Planetary Health Check released a warning that 7 of the 9 planetary boundaries have now been breached. What are the systematic risks? The report highlighted that human activities are pushing the Earth system out of the stable state it is maintained for the last 11,000 years. Climate and ecological anomalies, sea level rise, what are the disturbance? Data reveal that seas are increasing, rising significantly faster around low-lying region like the Maldives and Lakshadweep than previously estimated. Second is Ganga River concern also raised. A report indicated that Ganga is drying at a very fast rate than it has in the last 13 years. About Nicobar Islands, ecologists raised alarms over rapid development activities, labeling the large-scale infrastructure project in Nicobar Islands and impending ecological disaster. Important biodiversity and conservation highlights Ramsar addition. So Bihar successfully added 2 more wetlands to the prestigious Ramsar list, expanding critical wetland protection in India. It is a very important point. Now, vultures and pandemic preparedness, experts highlight the critical role vultures play in public health across South Asia by effectively managing biological waste and naturally preventing the spread of future zoonotic pandemics. So vultures act as scavengers and acting as a spread of future zoonotic pandemics. October updates, climate policy and finance, greenhouse gas emission intensity, GEI rules, greenhouse gas emission intensity. The Indian Center announced legally binding GEI targets for 4 high emission sectors. The sectors are aluminium, cement, core alkali, and pulp and paper. This act is a major step toward implementing the Carbon Credit Trading Scheme, CCTS, to help India meet its Paris Agreement target of reducing GDP emission intensity by 45% by 2030. Next is UNEP State of Finance for Forests. The United Nations Environment Program's report indicated that global investment in forests must triple for US $300 billion annually by 2030 to meet climate and land restoration goals. Current investment falls evenly short at roughly $84 billion. About biodiversity and discoveries, Indian discoveries, the researchers documented the first record of the bob weaver spider. A scientific name is Arnius nox in India, and discovered a new plant species, Chlorophytum venafusum, in the Western Ghats. Andaman mud volcano, second update is India's only known active mud volcano in the Andaman Islands, erupted after 20 years of dormancy in active state. Ladakh agriculture, about Ladakh agriculture threat arises. The buff tip moth, Flacera cf, Bucephala emerged as a major concern for high altitude farm economy in Ladakh. Global finding, what about global findings? Conservationists observe a rare Iberian lynx, and the Philippines initiated a coral larva cryobank to protect marine ecosystem. So these are biodiversity discoveries, Indian discoveries. The first record of orb weaver spider, scientific name is Aranius nox in India, and discovered a new plant species, Chlorophytum venafusum, in the Western Ghats. Andaman mud volcano, about the update. Ladakh agriculture threat by buff tip moth, scientific name is Falsera cf, Bucephala. Global finding is about the rare Iberian lynx. The Philippines initiated a coral larva cryobank to protect marine ecosystem. Ecology and Conservation Mangrove and Coastal Initiative. The sustainable aquaculture in mangrove ecosystem saying initiated gained traction as an alternative livelihood approach in mangrove dominant region. Second update is ecosystem, about ecosystem management. The Bunny grassland in Gujarat saw ongoing ecological restoration debates regarding the removal of invasive species Prosopis zuliflora. Additionally, researchers debunked several large-scale geoengineering proposals for polar region as critically flawed. November updates. It's dominated by severe air pollution crisis, landmark judicial rulings on environmental clearances, and key international climate finance and deforestation pledges. So national and policy updates in November 2025, post facto environmental clearance. The Supreme Court delivered 2-1 verdict permitting the granting of post facto environmental clearances, sparkling legal debates regarding environmental governance and constitutional rights. Second one is about the Delhi air quality crisis. The region battled as a severe winter air crisis. It issues surfaced regarding thermal power plants near the capital operating without flue gas desulfurization units. It is running without flue gas desulfurization units, FGD units. This is the reason of Delhi worst air quality. Next update is Great Nicobar project. Scrutiny and regulatory debates persisted over the Great Nicobar project and the administrative handling of the clearance. Biodiversity and wildlife updates. Madhumalai Tiger Reserve authorities advance the eradication of removal of invasive species. Senna spectacular to restore native habitats. Tiger safaris restriction. The Supreme Court restricted tiger safaris to non-forest lands to protect wildlife core areas. Next update is tribal relocation plan. Ongoing discussion focus on the ethical and legal framework for relocating forest tribes. International and climate action. Global Tropical Forest Fund. Ahead of global climate negotiation, India joined the Global Tropical Forest Fund as an observer to help in worldwide conservation efforts. About international treaties, it focuses areas included the high seas treaties and its challenges in global ocean governance. Now about the Belém Health Action Plan. Belém Health Action Plans launched its COP30 summit in Brazil. The plan aims to integrate health outcomes with climate and environmental policies. That is also a very important point. Belém Health Action Plan. Now we have to learn COP30. So UNFCCC COP30 in Belém, Brazil conducted. So 30 edition. So 30th edition of Conference of Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. UNFCCC COP30 concluded in Belém, Brazil, with countries formally adopting the Belém packages as their key negotiated outcome. So Belém package is a comprehensive set of 29 negotiated decisions which are adopted at COP30, which focus on moving from discussion to implementation through stronger finance, just transition measure, adaptation, tracking gender inclusion, enhance cooperation to improve diversity, to improve delivery of the Paris Agreement goals. Last video explained the Paris Agreement I have. Global Mutual Agreements COP30 ended with Global Mutual Agreement, which prioritizes cooperation and implementation rather than new mandatory targets. This deal is viewed as a compromise between developed and developing countries, focusing on deliverability over ambition. Brazil launched the Global Mutual Platform, a digital initiative to drive collective climate action and narrow the gap between commitment and implementation. So with a focus on improving progress in energy, finance, and trade. So Global Meteorite Agreements, Brazil launched the Global Meteorite Platform, a digital platforms which focus on improving progress in energy, finance, and businesses. UNFCCC Conference of the Parties COP. About COP is the supreme decision-making body of UNFCCC. Its member countries always meet annually to review climate progress, negotiate agreements, and update commitments such as NDCs. The UNFCCC was adopted at the 1992 Rio Earth Summit to prevent dangerous human interference with the climate system. So it was adopted at 1992 Rio Earth Summit and was later strengthened by a Kyoto Protocol 1997 and the Paris Agreement 2015. So it's a very important point. Now, COP1 was held in Berlin in 1995. By COP30, participating has grown to 198 countries, making it one of the largest multilateral platforms under the United Nations. So, COP is supported by subsidiary body of implementation SBI and the subsidiary body for scientific and technological advice SBSTA. So, COP also serve as a CMP. Serve as a CMP for the Kyoto Protocol and the CMA for Paris Agreement. Conference of the parties serving as the meeting of parties to the Kyoto Protocols oversees the implementation of Kyoto Protocols. Conference of the parties serving as a meeting of parties to the Paris Agreement oversees the implementation of Paris Agreements. So COP serve as a CMP for Kyoto Protocol and CMA for Paris Agreement. COP hosts the COP meeting are held by rotation in 5 United Nations designated geographical regions: Africa, Asia Pacific, Eastern Europe, Latin America and Caribbean, and Western Europe and others. So countries volunteer to host it. Multiple candidates emerge. The region selects one by consensus. Turkey will host COP31. Ethiopia will host COP32 in Addis Ababa in 2027, and India has expressed interest in hosting COP33 in 2028, which would be its second time after COP8 in 2002. Just transition mechanism COP32, COP30 adopted a just transition mechanism. JTM, also called Bailey Action Mechanism, BAM, so to support capacity building and cooperation for workers and economic shifting away from fossil fuels. But it does not include new or guarantee finance. About global implementation tracker and BALM mission to 1.5 degrees Celsius, launch at COP30 is about it designed to monitor whether national action and national determined contribution NDC, which align with the pathway compatible with limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So these mechanisms signal a growing focus on tracking delivery rather than setting new targets. So National Adaptation Plan NAP implementation alliance was launched at COP30 to speed up national adaptation planning. Countries also agreed to triple adaptation finance by 2030 compared to 2025 levels, but the lack of clarity on who will provide these funds remarks a key concern. Global Goal on Adaptation GGA parties also finalized the Baku Adaptation Roadmap and agreed 59 voluntary indicators to track progress under Global Goal on Adaptation GGA. So Balam Health Action Plans announced on COP30's Health Day 13th November 2025. This flagship initiative aims to strengthen global health system, as name is given, health plan, so strengthen global health system to better respond to climate impacts. It is built on the principle of health equity, climate justice and stronger governance with community participation. Tropical Forest Forever Facility TFFF launched by Brazil. TFFF is a payment for performance model that rewards countries for preserving tropical forests using satellites with the help of satellite-based monitorings. It also aimed to mobilize USD 125 billion, with Brazil contributing the first USD 1 billion. Billion Forex pledge also this pledge aims to quadruple the use of sustainable fuels by 2035. Its goal is to improve the use of sustainable fuel by 2035 compared to 2024 levels with flexibility for national circumstances. How is India positioning itself at COP30? This question should arise. Climate finance as a legal obligation. India, along with the basic Brazil, South Africa, India, China, and like-minded developing countries, LMDC groups, stresses equity and climate justice, calling for predictable, scaled-up, and grant-based climate finance rather than loan-driven model. So it demanded full implementation of Article. Important point. It demanded full implementation of Article 9.1 of Paris Agreement and an universally accepted definition of climate finance, while urging mobilization of USD 1.3 trillion climate finance goals set by Baku to Balam roadmap adopted at COP29. So it's a very important point. India highlighted the 2025 adaptation gap report estimates developing countries will require USD 310 to 365 billion annually by 2035, while current flows remain around USD 26 billion. Glasgow's pledge is to double adaptation finance to USD 40 billion by 2025 is unlikely to be met. Equity and climate justice. India reformed the principle of common but differentiated responsibility and respective capabilities, CBDRRC, and states that historical emitters must lead reduction efforts, mitigation efforts, and called for full implementation of UNFCCC, Kyoto Protocol, and Paris agreements. India, China, and other developing nations oppose trade-related restrictive measures such as European Union Carbon Border Adjustment, CBAM, arguing it is a discriminatory barrier disguised as climate action. So importance of CO by India, it is COP is importance for India. COP act as a key important platform for India to strengthen its global climate positioning by showcasing progress, its NDC commitment and pushing for equitable climate action. So it helps India to negotiate for climate finance, especially under mechanism like loss and damage fund. Loss and damage fund is important for managing climate risks such as flood and cyclones. The forum also support India's leadership role through alliances like ISA, allowing it to present developing nation interest and promote initiatives such as a Life and Mangrove Alliance for Climates. So December 2025 saw December 2025 saw major development in Indian global economy, including the UNEA endorsement of India's wildfire management initiative, progress in the MISTI program for mangrove restoration, and the WMO confirming a historic streak of record high global temperatures. India also expanding its protected area network to 1,134 sites. India's forest and wetland conservation in December 2025. Wetland milestones, India added 11 new Ramsar sites, taking the national total to 96, the highest in Asia. Udaipur and Indore was where officially designated as an India first Ramsar wetland sites. About mangrove restoration under the MISTI program, 4,536, and between 4,536 hectares of mangroves were restored to help protect coastlines and sequence carbon. Next, about the protected area growth, India's protected area network expanded to 1,134 sites, with community reserve increasing to 309, up drastically from 48 in 2014. Now, about the Green Credit Program GCP, the Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change MOEFCC revised the GCP framework, expanding participation to public and private entities for restoring degraded forests and environments. Air quality in urban environment, Delhi pollution action following a severe smog region, a parliamentary panel is issued new recommendation to combat to take care of Delhi's air pollution, emphasizing strict dust control, public transport promotion, and cross-department coordination. Now, air quality in urban environment, there is NCAP, so National Clean Air Program, which 103 cities recorded reduced particulate matter 10 levels, with 22 cities meeting the National Ambient Air Quality Good Quality standards. 22 cities are meeting. Experts continue to highlight particulate matter 2.5 over particulate matter 10 as a primary public health threat due to its ability to deeply penetrate lungs and bloodstream, causes different types of blood and lungs problem. Now, next about the scheme is Nagar One Yojana. 75 new urban forestry project were sanctioned to increase green covers, greeneries in cities. Now, about the climate action and global initiative in December 2025, India's climate agenda is India focused on designing its next round of nationally determined contribution NDC, aiming toward 2035, while expert panels reviewed structural bottlenecks in its clean energy, manufacturing, and transition. Global climate state, the WMO's State of the Global Climate Report confirmed a historic multi-year streak of extreme temperature, noting global averages remained roughly 1.43 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial level. So these are about the July to December environment, ecology, biodiversity, current affairs. Now I'm going to upload next series on new flora and fauna discovered. Best of luck, मेरे प्यारे बच्चे. Be consistent, trust